it so cool that this would be the song that we're kicking the show off?
Girl, I knew there was a reason why you were humming this song earlier this evening. The minute I saw it on the playlist, I was like, okay then.
This is how we open at 10 minutes past 10 on Gabs FM at Power to Engage Your World, the very first episode of the Purple Playroom. I am so excited to be here.
So am I, Ross.
Yeah.
This is something that I have thought about and conceptualized for a long time, in the sense that when you spoke about it, I don't know if you remember Aunt Agony.
Yes.
I've always imagined a radio version of Aunt Agony, right?
Yeah.
Late at night. Because there's something about this 10 to 12 slot where you can't sleep. Okay, I have insomnia, but and people do not the smartest things. I feel like this is where not the smartest things happen.
Yeah.
So, well, we're hoping, we can have conversations that will allow smarter things to happen.
100%. So if you went around when we spoke to Porisa just now, when we were explaining the reason Cathy and I are here this evening, and will be every Tuesday between 12 and 10 and 12 midnight, is we're going to do sex ed in the most informative, from a research-based, data, based perspective, and really talk about sex and everything in between, right? So you're absolutely welcome to join us on our platform. Our WhatsApp line is open to you, +267 3956 962. We are on social media.
Yes, we are.
We're going to get those pages buzzing for you, but you can check us out on Facebook, The Purple Playroom, TikTok, The Purple Playroom, Instagram, The Purple Playroom, and we will be on YouTube at the same name as well. I'm really excited for our debut conversation. The topic is, but it's actually really, really important.
And I feel like there's a couple of elements in that actual conversation or the topic that we might actually need to give a platform on their own, talking just about your body and how you care for it.
Your relationship with your body.
Your relationship with your body and how it affects your relationship with your partner.
100%. We do have a guest in studio tonight. She's a friend of Gabs FM. You have heard her voice many, many times on this platform, and she is perfect to be the one helping Cathy and I debut our show. We're going to introduce her and the topic on the other side of this. 12 minutes past 10 is your time. Good evening and welcome to the Purple Playroom. I have been waiting to say that for a whole year. Cathy, thank you so much for joining me.
You're most welcome. Excited to be here.
Make it last forever. Keith Sweat on this one, bringing us to 18 minutes past 10 on Gabs FM at Power to Engage Your World. Welcome to the Purple Playroom, our little space, to have conversations that need to be had without stigma. We are destigmatizing conversations. We actually do have every right to be having, right? And we're going to start with a particular topic this evening. By the way, my name is Ross. If we've never met before, my friends call me Ross, so of course you are welcome to call me that as well. I host this show, and we'll be hosting the show every single Tuesday between 10 and 12 midnight with a very lovely woman by the name Cathy Malejane.
And I like to tell people, Ross, that I'm the village girl from Ramotswale, right?
That's right.
The village chick with plenty chic. Hashtag Curious Cath, I think, is very apt at this particular point.
moment.
So I think that's the moniker I'm going to stick a lot with. But there's also Catherine with no E before the R, because they are locally acquired foreign accents, and I might just whip up Catherine with no E before the R. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you, So, today we are talking, and by the way, please remember, every time we're in studio, like, we always love for you to engage with us, right? On Gabs FM, and you can call the number 3956 That is the studio line. And then you can also call the WhatsApp line, which is very similar to the studio. I really don't know what's funny, Miss Agatha. You know what I mean? So if you just call +267 3956 962, that's how you'll be able to get a hold of us. I mean, you can already start talking, because what
are we going to have a serious conversation at all tonight?
I mean, guys, I'm sorry.
We're finished.
We have a colleague that does this, so I don't know why I can't bring Catherine. The lady with the laugh.
Very naughty.
So anyway, we're talking today about how effort, right? And grooming and personal upkeep, how those actually affect you know, like we said, not just the relationship you have with your body, but the relationship you have with your partner.
100%.
And how awesome is it that we get to unpack it with this lovely lady with the golden skin. Is it golden, purple hue? Like the skin is just...
Whatever the skin is, we love it. We love it. Let's introduce our guest for the evening. Wellness coach, certified wellness coach, life coach, fitness trainer, and in all her glory, the auntie of the nation, Miss Agatha Atlholang. On the streets, they call her the boss lady.
Cathy and Ross, thank you so much for having me. Oh my goodness.
Have you had a nice belly laugh? Are you ready to start? Kathy's a comedian.
I'm sorry, Cathy.
Yeah,
Cathy's just...
The more you do that, the more I'll like maintain it. Like if
I'll
she
kick the
does
both
this,
of you out
if
of
she
studio.
does this, I'm going to keep the
I'll
accent.
kick
You know what I
the
mean? The
both of you
whole
out of
time
studio.
it'll just be like
Yeah.
the Purple Playroom. Do you know what I mean?
But we're really excited to have you in studio with us tonight, Agatha, because you know it's fitting because of the topic we've got on the table, and it can be sensitive. You know, I remember speaking to a friend about this, and I said it's going to be controversial depending on what side of the coin you fall, you know, under. If you're embarrassed, if you're uncomfortable, if you don't have the kind of comfort in your own relationship to be able to deal with this. So, like Cathy did say, re batla go bua ka yone kgang ya upkeep in a relationship, and we're talking not just about any kind of upkeep, but physical upkeep. You know, is there some kind of importance in maintaining your physical appearance in a relationship? Kana ha e le gore motho wa go rata, they must reckon with whatever version of yourself you show up as physically. Ha e le gore ke motho wa man, I've had a baby, and I you know, we go along with the relationship and my body's changing. Maybe I've put on a little bit of weight. Maybe your hairline is receding. Maybe you've got a beer gut. You know, should we just kind of let that happen because our bodies change anyways, and our love should be enough to sustain us? All right. So before I get your reaction to this conversation, Agatha, and even just the topic that we've got, I've got some facts. You want me to hit you two ladies with the facts?
Yes.
All right. So the studies, there's a 2017 study, right? It was published in a personality and social psychology paper, right?
Yes.
It found for a mutual effort in appearance, that's grooming, fitness, hygiene, style even, significantly correlates with relationship satisfaction and perceived sexual desirability.
Yes.
All right. The 2022 relationship study by the University of Toronto, that's in the in Canada, found that 78% of couples avoid conversations about appearance or attraction because they fear conflict or hurting their partner's self-esteem. Right?
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar to you? Okay. And then yet couples who learn to talk about it gently and constructively show higher relationship satisfaction and more consistent sexual desire, right? So psychologists call that the mirror effect. When one partner invests in their appearance and their self-care, the other one responds in kind, you know, improving their own upkeep and appearance. So Agatha, your first thoughts as a person, from your vantage point as a wellness coach, as a fitness trainer, and someone who coaches couples and sits down with them and really gets to hear one perspective, the female perspective or the male perspective in a relationship. Yeah.
I think before anything, hairline, everything starts with me.
Yeah.
The unholy trinity.
Yeah.
Me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
Right? As a woman and even as a man. So I'm of the belief, and my philosophy is, the man in my life is merely benefiting from the fact I love me.
Yeah.
I want to look good. It's first for me. Everybody else then benefits from that.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
Right.
That's the foundation. Let's start it off there.
Yeah.
It's not about having a relationship and I'm going to look good for this guy. I'm going to go out and look good and then I'm going to go back home and then be the girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you know, there's also the aspect of when you put in that effort, like you said, it's about you. When you put in that effort to care for yourself, it's showing that you are actually interested and engaged. The minute you stop, I think that's one of the things.
It's sending a message.
Exactly, to your other partner. This person's checked out.
Absolutely. So it's first about yourself, because we have this philosophy, how I see myself is how I show up.
Yeah.
So if I don't care much for myself and I don't see my self-worth, I'm not going to show up accordingly.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. The way I show up then does what? Determines how people treat me.
Exactly.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm not going to take care of myself and show people I am worth the people should talk to me because of how I look. I mean, when you look amazing, you look great, everybody has a certain level of respect for you.
And what about somebody who's listening to this right now who would argue, that's superficial?
There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
What are we talking about that is superficial?
Yeah.
So I'm superficial right now. Is that it? I've been doing this for over how many years now?
I think she means superficial in the sense that a lot of the time when we say looking good, there's that argument also that comes in. Oh, should we have the wigs versus not, the eyelashes versus not? Is that not what you're speaking
As a
to
child, you're taught hygiene.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think superficial in that is it superficial to be attracted to somebody because of the way that they look?
We are visual creatures.
You can't get around it.
You can't get around it. And it's nice that you both are raising this point, because we've always had this, through these past couple of years, there's this whole thing, just don't look at people, listen to people. Unfortunately, we're not wired that way.
Yeah.
We're wired to see, you've got a wee vessel coming right now, and I'm really not going to.
Or your hygiene is not great.
Is not, and the rest will come later. Unfortunately, it is
That's how it works.
It's how it works.
Yeah.
And we've got to accept that. We've got to get away from this primitive way of thinking, people don't see us and how we show up. So that's really important. So the link, as you're saying, if I don't take care of myself physically, it just shows what kind of relationship I have with me before even my partner. Emotionally, if I don't take care of myself, it shows like in the relationship with the other person.
Yeah.
So these things come together. It starts first with you, and then it trickles down into the relationship and your partner.
Yeah, so there is often issues around how that person feels and how they, relate with themselves, and then that comes into the relationship.
Yes.
So when you are having a partner that is going through something, maybe depression, and then they stop doing the caring, all of that. How do you begin to approach your partner? How do you, I mean, this is not necessarily a very comfortable conversation to have, even with yourself.
Yeah.
What more with someone else?
The biggest question, Cathy, is how are we doing relationships? Because I'm under the assumption, when boy meets girl, we end up having the most important conversations. And while we get to understand each other, we get to understand each other's personalities, likes, dislikes. We also understand that in a relationship, it's all about helping you grow.
Yeah.
So if that's the foundation, when I'm not growing and I'm stagnant, it's the responsibility of my partner to say, yo, babe, what's going on? Is everything okay? So I don't really see how, if we're in a loving relationship, the cornerstone is growth. And both partners see it that way. I do not see why it's an issue to nudge the other partner and say, you know what, if you're going through something, how can I help? How can we do this? Because I'm seeing you. And a lot of the times, in relationships, we don't get to see ourselves. Your partner is your mirror. So I don't understand why my partner would come and say, hey, why now miriri, or hey, why now? It's hey.
Yeah. I think even before we get to the conversation and how to have it, because there's somebody who's tuned into us right now, thinking to myself, hey, I'm glad these ladies are talking about this, because I want to broach the subject about how it's going to be received, right?
Yeah.
I think let's lay it down from your coaching practice, right? You sit down with couples, Agatha, and I think I've heard you say before, you never coach a couple balemo.
Yes.
You always must take Cathy, and then you must take Taboka separately to understand right?
Yeah.
So in your practice, what are some of the most common issues that you are coming across dealing are affecting couples right now, especially in the realm of what we're discussing right now, if anything at all?
People don't understand that they're not perfect.
Yeah.
People don't understand that they've got flaws.
Yeah.
People think that they will always look the same. People think that they'll never have a bad day. So if you have all those as part of your mindset, it's going to be very difficult for your partner to have the necessary conversations with you.
Yeah.
So that's what I see the most, where we don't see that we are both good and we've got flaws.
Yeah.
I get a self-awareness.
Yeah.
Speaks to my strengths, my weaknesses, my flaws and my abilities,
Yeah.
So this is what I'm seeing, that I don't even understand myself in the relationship. He doesn't even understand himself. This is why it makes it very difficult for us to have the most important conversations, which is, you know what, this bothers me, you know, and this doesn't make me feel too great, you know, or
and you see it in other areas of the relationship in a person before you see it in that physical aspect of things.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, the issue here, Ross, is when you're a couple, more so that I'm going to be very honest. We've got very bad social skills. We're very awkward in how we relate with one another. In the sense that we're not truthful. We want to walk on eggshells all the time, and also because people make us feel that way. So it's like we think a relationship is this. It's a prison. It's not a place of freedom, a place of expression, a place of this is what I'm going through. Can you help me? Or I look amazing and I feel I'm amazing. My partner wants to start competing with me. What's that? You know? So we're not very free. And because we're not free within ourselves, it becomes very difficult to be free in the relationship, which then means it's difficult for us to talk about the most important things. So we've got that issue, and that's what I see in my practice. That's why I prefer to take people separately and get them there first and set that foundation so that they know what's bothering them. That's not for me to say. So once we've set the foundation of understanding who I am as a person, that's when we're able to come together and the other one can say confidently what they feel while the other accepts and takes the feedback without khotang. You know.
I think we can take a break and then come back with Vox Pops. We actually managed to talk to a couple of people on the street by leng hore have some feedback as to, or you know, can speak on the questions that we're asking our audience tonight. And by the way, our WhatsApp line is open to you, +267 3956 962. Does physical maintenance or upkeep matter in the context of a relationship for you? Moretsi wa rona, are you shy to bring it up? If you think your partner, you know, no longer tries to look good, you know, and would it make you uncomfortable to receive that, you know, kind of feedback where now, hey babe, I feel like maybe we should start taking hikes, because you know what they're insinuating, you know, half the time. So would it make you feel uncomfortable if they were to bring that to you? And maybe you should ask yourself why, and you can answer us via the WhatsApp line. You can remain completely anonymous. That's up to you. +267 3956 962. We're going to take a short break and then come back on the other side of this. Cathy, how are you feeling so far?
You know what? I have so many questions. I have so many questions. Like, you know, Agatha kept talking about how if we did this right, I feel like just setting the foundation sometimes, if you have these conversations with somebody before it gets anywhere, I think it just saves you a lot of heartache along the way. So perhaps even at some point we could talk about, before you can even get into that relationship, what are some of the things you need to talk about? What are some of the conversations you need to have?
Let's lead with that when we come back on the other side of this, all right? This is Body on Me, Nelly and Ashanti. They made the song while they were dating, and then they broke up for 10 years, then got back together. You know, that's very interesting. I felt the need to mention that because it's very interesting to me. I can't imagine any of my exes and I getting back together. But Ashanti, you do your thing, girl. She brings us to 10:37 on Gabs FM, Power to Engage Your World. Welcome back to the Purple Playroom. This is that new platform that you are gonna love, all right? We do this every Tuesday evening now from 10 to midnight. My name is Ross, and I host the show with Cathy Malejane.
The village chick with plenty chic and #Curious Cat. Let me put that hat on because at this point, like my mind was really spinning at that point when you were speaking, because you mentioned that, you know, my question is how important is it before you get into relationship? Because in my mind, I think we date wrong in Botswana. I don't think we take the time to know or even vet the people that we're meeting. I don't think we date. You just meet somebody and they say, oh, be my, like,
no, that's literally what happens.
That's what happens. Be my person. Do you even know me enough to be saying that to me? Like, don't you want to get to know what I'm like when I'm upset and annoyed? Can you handle my anger? Can you handle my joy? Maybe I'm annoying. So what are some of the things we need to be looking at? Should we be asking each other what our favorite color is?
We've outgrown that kind of stuff. That's not where we are. But that's a brilliant question, Cathy. We don't know how to date. If I were to ask the listener, what is the purpose of dating? 3/4 of people would not even know. What is the purpose of marriage? What is the purpose of a woman? What is the purpose of a man? We know about politics. We know about making money.
We know who we're attracted to.
True, but we don't know what relationships are about and where they're taking us. So to answer your question, Cathy, it's a whole lot, such that when you see someone at 44, for example, me, who's single with no children, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
No one ever asks or thinks, or maybe there are certain things that I'm looking for and I'm not seeing certain things because there's
and you're
a way.
content then not going into
and
it.
then I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So it's very important when you start dating, attachment style ya gago e ntse yang. Is this a very fearful person? Am I a fit? Like if we as me, I get
so start off by getting to know yourself first.
Get to know yourself first.
Yeah.
You know, you cannot be the person. It's so immature for you to go into a relationship without knowing who you are and expecting without you communicating to them what it is that you like. And you don't even know you. So how are you going to communicate? So we're playing a very dangerous game here, right? You don't even know what color you like. But somehow this guy is supposed to know that you like green.
Yeah.
And you can't even articulate that.
Yeah.
A basic thing like that. What's my attachment style? And obviously I go for coaching to go and see
Yeah.
what are my values? What is like a deal breaker for me? For me, Cathy, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not the moment you say you want a kid, we're done. We are very done. Because my value is mwana monyalo.
Yeah.
And that's me. I'm not saying that Cathy should be like that.
Yeah.
You understand? So if I don't know myself and this thing is there, jiki ka hojala with a guy who has no problem with having kids out of wedlock, and then kamuso, I'm going to resent this person.
Okay, so let's agree on you need to know yourself. And I think that a lot of people don't know themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's number one. But now the second one, when you talk about you need to know what you want, what you like.
Yes.
I'm going to mention the list.
Yes.
You know the list?
The list.
The list that I know women have it.
I looked at it just yesterday.
Yep. And unfortunately, I feel like a lot of it is just
superficial,
very superficial. So tall, dark, and handsome.
Yes.
It shouldn't be. In my mind, it should be about characteristics,
right? Values, principles.
Yes. And so people do this list, Agatha, and my worry with that is I think they do it wrong because it's I want a rich man.
But not only that. Here's the thing. Do you know that list could actually be your mother's list and not yours?
Yeah, based on what you have grown up hearing,
that could be your
looking
aunt's
at,
list.
seeing.
That could be your mom and your aunt, and you watch
so
them.
How do you
and that's
find out
list.
if it's yours? What do you do?
We're going straight to the part. Woman, be authentic. Because authenticity is a very important part of a relationship. If you are not you are going to be a miserable person and you're going to make your partner miserable.
Yeah.
Both men and women.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
So this list that we're talking about, it's what you are hearing from people. You see somebody, a guy dating them and they're going to all these places. But are you really sure that's what you want? That's the guy who wants a young girl doing whatever. You're Cathy, you actually want structure. You actually want to have children.
Yeah.
You actually want to get married. And if you don't even understand that those are really the things that you want, you're going to run around. So you also need to understand your personality. We've got sanguines, phlegmatics, melancholics, cholerics. Like, where are you? Are you an ENTJ? Are you an IF? Whatever. Like, what are you?
And it's really not that complicated once you start to learn about it. It's accessible information.
Exactly. And this is where the problem is. People aren't going for coaching because people think they know everything. And I like to put it this way, Cathy. Where we are right now, we are surviving a software obsolete in parenting, in relationships, in who we are as women, who we are as men. So whatever software we're using, and you can see because we're failing to really do relationships, parenting, and marriage. We're failing. So this, okay,
let's change something.
Let's change something here. You know, doing the same thing every day and expecting a different result. What does Einstein say that?
It's madness.
It's madness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because you get to a point where you're saying, okay, I'm writing the list.
Yes.
As whoever, a man or woman, I want the family, I want the dog with the white picket fence, right? So you've got the list of this is what I want. And then you've done some counseling, you believe you've done some work. And then you meet somebody and there are chemicals and hormones that go off whack and they spark all sorts of interesting things, right? And then so a woman will have the list and then share. Could we talk too much? So you're going to share it with the gentleman and tell him, you know, this is my list. He likes you. Remember, the hormones and chemicals.
You're going to share the list?
I like 1, 2, 3. This is what this is what I prefer. You're trying to say, let's not waste each other's time. This is right. He likes you, right? Is he not just going to act like he's that so that he can be with you?
Now, here's the interesting thing about working on yourself, Cathy. You vibrate on a very different frequency. So when you start working on yourself, what happens is all the veils come out. The veil comes off, right? And I like to say it in this way, Kasujwana.
Yes.
Things
you
become
can call
very
the bull.
clear. So even when you start dating, it's not about chemicals. We're not doing that. That's like a primary school thing, you know. Now you're coming to yourself. And even your level of consciousness is on a totally different level. Such that when you come through, so this is how it works, Kabatu. We vibrate on an unconscious level. So you're dating who you are, not what you want.
Yeah.
You understand? So if you've done the work, there are certain things, this guy who's got lots of money, looks all polished, but there's an energy about him that you're going to be like, he ticks all these things, but
something's off. Yeah.
And right away, it's off. So that list thing doesn't work because it's an energy now. You've come from the realm of just being physical about it and being superficial into a more spiritual kind of thing. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Definitely.
So it changes completely.
All right, I want to remind you, if you're listening, if you've just tuned in, that this is the Purple Playroom and we're with you all the way until 12 o'clock. We had a couple of questions.
Yeah, we actually have some WhatsApps, but we do have a couple. Well, we did ask our listener a couple of questions. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we're asking you these questions. All right, does physical maintenance and upkeep matter in the context of a relationship for you? Are you shy to bring it up if your partner no longer, makes the effort to look good? You could call it letting themselves go. And would it make you uncomfortable to receive that kind of feedback when howling thing, right? So +267 395 6962. There is a message on our WhatsApp line that says taking notes for future use because Kesantikele independent candidate. Love doesn't know disability, so us with visual challenges find it difficult to even start conversations, right? That is from Anonymous. Yes, take notes. Let's have the conversation. We did ask the question on the street. Let's take a short break and then come back on the other side of this with those responses. All right. So +267 3956 962. Follow us online, by the way, the Purple Playroom across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. All right. Good evening. It is still Gabs FM's birthday, I guess.
I'm also celebrating with Gabs FM, okay?
Yes, you are. Yeah, happy birthday to you as well, Cathy. Yeah, still celebrating.
And the Purple Playroom's birthday is also in October. Do you understand
100%.
that? That's how we're going.
Energies and vibration, right? 10:49 is your time on the greatest radio station on the air right now. This is Gabs FM, and like Cathy rightfully said, this is the Purple Playroom. We're joined by life coach, certified wellness coach, fitness trainer, Miss Agatha Atlholang, the boss lady, talking about what can be a sensitive topic, especially when it comes to how we deal with each other in relationships, how we manage each other's feelings. Yes, it's your job and your responsibility to manage yourself, but once we're in a relationship, we are somewhat responsible for each other. And when we are talking about attraction, it can be a little bit sticky, because if I no longer think you are doing the things that made the pots to be what they were when we started this thing, I do have a right to say something about it, I think. And for somebody who's tuned into this conversation right now, who thinks maybe it's not your place to say anything, or how dare you, or how does it concern you, you are in a relationship with this person, and if you want to, you can bring it up, as long as your relationship is conducive enough, right? So we have a producer, she's tuned in right now. Shout out to you, Masa, who otherwise known as Mace with the Face, who took the time to get on the street and get a couple of people's opinions as to how they feel about this particular thing, right? Can they approach their partner physical appearance? How do they feel? Does it make them uncomfortable? Shall we listen to that, ladies?
Yep.
Let's go ahead.
Is there a way go bolela partner ra gago gore physical upkeep, general appearance, haba parankating isn't what you're used to them wearing without offending them? So would you be okay with your partner also go bolela gore you need to step it up in some kind of way, gore change her? What is your sort of style to this approach?
Na my partner I go ra se batho gore a ska uta go thoka ke re ka ba baby o ka re mo wa go tsamela no at least find something white or brown or go gore ke ska mo tse batho but le nna ha nthara baby o ka re go lo gona go tsamela ne le nna
okay, so essentially go batla partners gore ba gone go bua sentle ka dikgang tse. Do you feel gore ke normal conversation hela like to have le motho a gago?
It's a normal conversation.
Okay.
So you have to understand each other.
Okay. And then my next question to you is, do you think attraction fade ha gongwe melo wa partner ra go change, or do you feel like lerato sort of makes up for that?
I get but to me it's okay, but I got to go over and when I thought about it. How to change Shamila Nagatesh, wait, I know Carotana Matawaka. Only do or so yana, why you're Basadir Batuarin Senya. No, Tanaka of a door, so you're not going to say you're going to build a young go to Bang Hagawa, Pasarasara Hagawa.
So, Filore Banabone, Hamilo Abone change, for example, Hawana. Kore bone ga ba be pressure the way ba re tsenya pressure ka teng.
No banna bone physical change ya bone ga se leng gore e kalo mo go na le basadi rona kana ra imela rena le mathata rena le bana re tshwere dio tse tsoti go change sengwe le sengwe mind mmele sengwe le sengwe le behavior ya change to.
And then last one, so when do you take care of yourself for yourself kana we rela partner ra gago, and do you think gore fitness le grooming the moriri is an important thing to do?
It's an important thing for me to do it. But hela gore ke keep my body for another person. Hey, what if tomorrow as I'm ka mosogo to mongwe ke ntse ke keep that how ka go kgona gala, so I have to keep change myself hela gore ke ska keep my partner if I khone as a man.
I like that. She was very blunt about that, to say, listen, if you can't keep up, then you're gonna have to move to the side, right?
Isn't there like a nicer way to say this?
There is. I mean, I guess she's just blunt, and whoever's
No, she's okay with the cat.
yeah.
She's like me, living with the cat for the rest of her life. It's fine. She has the right.
She's saying, you know what? If I feel a kind of way, I'm gonna communicate it, and if you can take it, if you can take the heat, you can stay in the kitchen. If you can't, get out, right?
We have some WhatsApps that have come
let's
through?
read some WhatsApps. +26739569662. This one says, if you're shy to tell your partner that they're letting themselves go with their appearance, then you are not in a safe and mature relationship.
Yeah.
And I think as a person, you should want to take care of yourself for you. And it's a bonus for your partner.
Exactly.
If your partner isn't taking care of themselves or trying to look good for themselves, it's like they're giving up on themselves. And that's where the issue lies, because it'll start with appearance and then spill off into other avenues of life. I like that. And then it goes on to say, and I think if you're in a relationship with someone you really love and care about, you should be able to tell them, and they should be able to tell you out of care and love and in the right way, just as long as they don't say it like, hey, nowadays, unse like something else.
Yeah, no, I think
That's
definitely
funny. Thank
the
you
way
so much for that. WhatsApp.
the way that you say it, it definitely plays a part as well.
You've got to
It's
be
really
loving
important.
and gentle.
Yeah.
Don't leave a person feeling like, man.
No, but I also think, like, in relationships, people don't understand something. Well, relationships are different because they carry the emotions are different. If you are friends, that's a different relationship. With your sister, that's a different relationship. Go Facebook is a different relationship.
With your sister, you can say, hey, mine.
But this is somebody we're building a life together. We probably even have kids together. So you owe them that much. They owe you that much to communicate like an adult, isn't they? Yeah, you owe each other that.
We have some responses, Cathy, to our questions. Do you want to share those?
Yes, we do. This one came through anonymously, and it's speaking to just the way that you tell your partner about their appearance. And this one says, a relationship that promotes open communication is key. This allows for respective parties to actually comfortably raise and address issues which seek to develop and improve in a non-offensive manner.
Which is great.
And then speaking about taking care of yourself, in order for your partner to appreciate, I think this particular one is very much agreeing with what you were saying, because it says always do yourself first in capital letters, right? A sober partner will appreciate that prioritizing your health and wellness is actually in their best interest, right? And it should apply both ways. I have another message.
Go ahead.
Okay, now this one coming through is from Winnie. It says, it's very important, if you honestly care about your partner, if you love them, to be honest with their about their physical appearance, right? You want them to be confident, be able to shine. You make your partner shine, right? You
represent your partner.
Exactly, and vice versa, right? And then this message goes on to say, Monique says that when her husband told her she'd gained, it really hurt her feelings. She cried, but then, and this part for me is the big one, she appreciated the fact that he said, I love you and I want to spend my life with you. And she says she worked on herself and he helped, that he said, I love you that much, which is true. And I want to throw in something there to say, I think one of the things for me, yes, I'm an older person, is much as it hasn't happened, I wanted to, right? So I'm going to do my very best to take care of myself. And I'd like you to do the same. Right? And if we're going to be together, I really don't want you to die sometime soon. So if there's something you can do to take care of yourself so that you don't die sometime soon,
let's get active about that.
To me is actually a whole love language. When you take care of yourself, you drink your water, you sleep, all that stuff, you are showing me that I love you by loving me.
Absolutely.
And what you guys are saying, you guys open up a whole avenue of things, because I think we shouldn't even limit this conversation to just romantic love. This works in platonic relationships as well. As friends, we should be able to have this conversation. If I feel like and there are things that you could do to improve yourself, we should be able to have that conversation without you feeling judged or attacked, and then me talking to you about it in a way that makes you defensive, right? We do have some more responses from our anonymous WhatsApp line. I'd love to share those with you. By the way, our WhatsApp line is still open, +267 3956 You can stream us live on www.gabsfm.com. All right. This one says, it's never an easy discussion, but I think a person's self-care is something to look out for during the early stages of getting to know each other. This way, it's easier to bring this topic up in future, because you'd simply be comparing them to how they used to be before their standard dropped. Right? Another one reads, I think it's very important to feel comfortable enough to speak to your partner about intimacy because, like you said, changes do happen. So, no, I wouldn't be shy. I think I'd be worried about hurting their feelings, but willing to navigate the conversation to meet each other halfway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Another one says, it matters 100%. From a woman's perspective, physical appearance does play a role, not in a shallow way, but because a lot changes once you're in a relationship. I'm going to ask you ladies a question after this about women and relationships in general. But the message goes on to say, men often expect us to stay the same as when they met us without realizing they can be part of what disrupts that, right? And part 2 of the message says, our hormones shift, our routines change, our peace gets tested. And sometimes we lose that glow we had when we were alone, especially in toxic relationships. That spark fades. So yes, it matters. I get why some girls talk about upkeep and why that whole girlfriend allowance conversation even started. That one is a whole different one, and I think it would take us in a completely different direction. But I want to talk about this notion, and is it just something I'm observing from a superficial point of view, and do I need an explanation on it? Is that women generally just gain weight when they're in happy relationships? Is that something you guys see?
I don't know about the happy part because I hear people say that
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I gain weight when I'm unhappy.
Really?
I comfort eat.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's why I don't
So
believe
if I'm
that.
happy,
Yeah.
you'll actually see me lose weight.
I tend to, I'm going to gravitate more to what Cathy is saying,
Yeah.
because when you're happy, there's a certain way you do things.
Yeah.
When you're happy, you want to take care of yourself. Like for me, when I'm happy, I gym.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I'm happy, I'm eating right.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm not happy,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
You two are on the same wavelength though, because I happy eat. If you see me looking a little porkier than usual, just know what she's having the time of her life, and great things are happening. But if I start to lose a little bit of weight, it's not
stressed.
weight loss. ke ho bopana.
So you get
but
stressed.
yeah.
You lose weight when you get stressed.
Yeah, and then I gain
so
weight
then,
when I'm
if
happy
we go
because I
according
celebrate
to
with food.
If we go according to that, then we can just say that depending on the type of woman,
Yeah.
she's either going to gain or lose weight.
Yeah,
But
and
also-
I think that. Please go ahead.
yeah. But also, I think we really, I like that Cathy brought this up. Ya gore, our primitive ways, or the way we used to look at things. Ke gona gore motho o tshwantse gore a none. It's like Cathy, when you have a child. Your in-laws expect this child to be so overweight gore ga o tshwantse gore o mo jese motogo. Wena as the in-law o bitse o jesa ngwana motogo
Yeah.
gore your mother-in-law a ska ta gore ka
bolaisa ngwana tala.
you know what I mean? You need to get out of that. And it's like even with our men, zaga gempa. And I'm like,
Yes.
the visceral
Koroja
fat
mad,
around
yeah.
there. You're not going to live long enough for me to enjoy this money that you're making, bruh.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to get out of that mindset.
And I think this segues us, ladies, to our next question to you, Agatha. Gore, the reality is we change. We get older. Our bodies change. For us women more than men, right? Because hormonal,
Childbirth as
all
well.
sorts of things,
Yeah.
right? So women birth children, and it really takes a lot out of us. So, men are also out on these streets hustling. They lose sight of, it becomes less of a priority to get into the gym.
Men die quicker than women.
Yeah, they do.
And it's because of the stress.
The stress
Yeah, they
and
have
the
to take
hustle.
care of their homes.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so is it really fair then, from that vantage point, to put that kind of pressure on each other as a couple, given all of those factors?
I think we need to take that into consideration and therefore be balanced in our expectations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's important for me to understand that my wife is going to be 44, 45 at some age. She's not going to look 25.
Not everything. Gravity is going to affect her facilities.
Absolutely. That's why. Look at Chris. today.
Jenna.
You know, she's gone for plastic surgery and we're talking about people who've got money here.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that she didn't look like that previously. Her body has changed, you know, and because of that, she decided that she was going to buy her beauty.
She's going to do
Her
something
youth.
about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we've got to be realistic about the fact that that's what it is. So, it should count for something that this woman has given you a legacy, which is children, and you can't put that kind of pressure on it, because even with these kids, it was for you as well. You benefited from it, which is the children,
I'm sorry,
right?
can I just play devil's advocate with
Yes.
that one? We've just finished saying, and all of us agreed,
Yes.
look, we meet, right? We have these conversations.
Yes.
So, I mean, just throwing this at there. This
Yeah.
man likes that 20-year-old. So,
which is
20
fine.
years later,
Yeah.
he still likes that 20-year-old.
Which is not
Then
really.
he needs to grow up.
You don't look like that 20-year-old.
Yeah.
And you're not even really trying to be anything like that 20-year-old.
Yeah.
But we agreed at the beginning.
But it's not realistic.
Did we
because-
not agree?
No, psychologically it's not realistic, Kathy. That's just where the
unreasonable
problem
person
is.
doesn't change their mind. Yeah.
That's where the problem is, because this is why Lehela, as you get older, psychologically you're not wired to think that way. You know why? Because there's the first half of life and the second half of life. That is why in the second half of life you don't discipline your grandchildren like you used to discipline your children.
Yeah.
You understand?
You relax
so
a little
this is
bit.
why I don't
Yeah.
understand why a 55-year-old man is in a bar.
I was about to say to you, but let's speak about Botswana, because
Hey.
you guys are saying this and making it seem so obvious. Oh no, you're 40 now. You shouldn't want a 20-year-old.
But
hi guys,
the reality
we are in
doesn't reflect
Botswana,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And in
Yes.
Botswana, that 50-year-old man
Yes, is doing
still
that.
likes the 20-year-old.
So,
So
Matatagwe,
let's talk about this, because
It's the
we said in the
socialization.
beginning we
Yeah.
agreed.
Yeah.
We agreed. I get
Yeah.
it. You know what I like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like what?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? And so
Is that 50-year-old man upholding the same standard?
No,
or
but
did
here's
he
the
also...
he's taking care of himself, right? And then he's got
Okay.
the money, right? And then the flashy things
Okay.
that 20-year-olds like.
Yeah.
So even if he's not really, but sort of doing it, and then he's
You're
got...
failing to self-actualize. That's why we have self-actualization, less self-realization. So you're not going ka Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's what I want you to understand, Kathy. That in as much as we are condoning the nonsense here, that's not how a person functions or moves. That is why at this age we are supposed to be teaching bana ba basetsanyane, not competing with them.
Yeah.
So we are not self-actualizing. And this becomes problematic, because then it affects society in such a bad way that now your son is competing with you as a father for
Yeah.
girlfriends.
Yeah.
And you are disturbing the ecosystem.
But can we agree that's what's happening? in
No,
the
we
town?
can
yeah,
agree.
no,
Yes,
for sure, for
definitely.
sure,
We're not
for sure.
going to
And
say
then
we're
can
on the
we
same
talk
page.
about what we
Yeah.
need to do about it? Because you're saying if everything is not going right.
at all.
It's going
This is
wrong.
exactly
We are not
the conversation. You
self-actualizing.
are so right. And
How
that
do we
is
fix it?
that is the biggest problem with our country. It's the socialization. Kana Kathy, this is one of my fights le Batswana. Gore ga ba tlhomphe family. And whenever you don't understand the purpose of family, which is to socialize you, to see you, the reason why you have an uncle, an aunt, and a grandmother is so that you should know that tomorrow you're going to be an aunt.
Yeah.
So tsama lebela, right? And tomorrow you're going to be a grandmother. So there are stages. Now, when you see this through nuclear and extended family, it doesn't become a shock for you.
Yeah.
So what has happened? We have destroyed that. So now we've got nothing to look up to. This young girl that I stayed with, you know what she always says to me? Auntie A, I love the fact that you're teaching me what 44 looks like. You understand?
Not o ganela mo go 30 and trying to
E re
stay
ha go
30.
ha motho a go bitsa auntie A, o re amang o re auntie A. You understand where the problem is?
Yeah.
So that then affects how we perceive and how we relate with one another.
Yeah.
Because then it's totally warped. Sengwe le sengwe ga se tsamaye according to how it was meant to be. And that is where the problem is. You've got a 50-year-old woman who thinks now and she's 25 just because now she's divorced.
Yeah.
Hey, and we're not saying that her life is over just because she's divorced, but she must understand that she's not 25.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And also, menopause is coming. You know, your body, your hormones.
I actually want to touch a little bit on that
Yeah.
because Ross mentioned earlier, our bodies are already changing, right? Our bodies change, and take the woman. I mean, for men as well, they also go through their own hormonal change. But
But
for
have you seen
women,
how lovely they look as they get older? The more a man gets
Silver
aged,
foxes.
silver fox.
Maybe you're just projecting your type onto us. Calm down. Calm down a little bit. No, calm down. I agree,
are
but
you
calm
are you
down.
not being socialized here, Agatha?
Please go on, Cathy.
So yeah, I mean, if you look at it, especially for women, and you include children in there, so there's going to, and I actually was saying, I think this should be a whole conversation, a whole like episode on its own to say childbirth. That's a huge thing.
And how does that affect the bedroom?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
before, during, and after, right? The conception, during pregnancy, and afterwards, especially afterwards. How do you come back from that? I think that's something we need to be thinking about, because in Botswana, how salamorago ngwao ya rona ga le sa nyalana at that point in time. Nna ke dumela gore ke sengwe sa dilo tse leng gore se senya di relationship tsa rona, because ka Setswana, especially ga le sa nyalana, you're not supposed to even relate,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so that distance, that separation,
What, sexually?
in any way, the if you're not married to the mother of your child, in our customs and cultures, you're not even supposed to come near her, right? There will be some lenient parents there and there that can say that, but that's part of why I think anyways that the father doesn't get to bond with the child. This is Gastswana, and I understand why they do that, because at the end of the day you want to encourage marriage should happen. I'm a firm believer of that family like you talked about. So all of those changes, how do we still ensure, because we said this at the very beginning, we want to ensure consistent sexual desire in the relationship, and you want these relationships to be long lasting. Can you imagine the honeymoon period, 3 to 5 years, it's all fun and awesome, sunshine and rainbows, but what happens after the 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah. Oh, we do.
So it's like marriage, right? Marriage has about 5 stages.
Yeah.
Right? What people need to understand is that every relationship has its stages. There's the stage when you're enjoying each other, humanat. There's the stage where now you decide, okay, we're getting married. Different responsibilities now.
Yeah.
We're no longer blowing my 1,000 like we did when we were young.
Yeah.
Because now we want a house. Now we want cars. You understand?
Yeah.
Which means with every single stage, you've got to rebirth the relationship. And that relationship has to be able to contain this new way of life.
And the evolving versions of yourselves.
The evolving versions of you.
Yeah.
Right? Right there. That's the first thing that Bazwana don't even know.
Yeah.
But once right through. You understand?
Same format.
Same format.
Yeah.
So which means when a child comes in, it disrupts sengwe le sengwe.
Yeah.
It disrupts sengwe le sengwe for you as the man and for you as the woman. Now, this is a conversation that we have to have now. Remember, I'm going to be taking the first 5 years, let's say 3 years, they need the mother. Cathy, I was not willing to be with a man who wasn't going to allow me to be a stay-at-home mom for 3 years. I was very clear about that. And if this man cannot understand this, that this is for the sake of this child and us, to us, and he doesn't see the importance of this because he's not educated in this, and he's complaining that he has to work harder.
Then he's
with
going to
the
give
wrong
you
person.
issues down the line.
There's going to be
Yeah.
issues, you
Yeah.
understand? So even you as a couple, you need to get educated on child development. You understand? So there's so many things that come into play, and that's why you cannot come ka software ya bogologolo, literally relationship. Now you need extra help, which is professionals, which is life coaches, who are going to take you into these different stages as you evolve and as you grow as a couple. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even when the menopause comes, this man must understand. I'm already starting to get there. At the perimenopause, I'm there already.
Yeah.
I'm sluggish and I'm tired.
Yeah.
Thank God I train.
Yeah.
But I see my body has changed completely. In as much as people might look at me now and think, no, when I was
You're going through it.
I'm going through it and I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
So we need to go through those stages and get the help. Sometimes we're going to struggle together. And when the fights start coming up, that's when we know we need a third party to come and help us. It's not time for us to break up. It's time for us to engage someone.
Yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
So this my whole point here is that the points you are raising, Cathy, this is the reality. But how much do we know that we need help? We need somebody to come in.
I like that. 14 minutes past 11 is your time on Gabs FM Power to engage your world. This is the Purple Playroom, and this is the nature of the conversations that we are going to be having on this platform from here on, all right? Every single Tuesday between 10 and 12 midnight, myself, Ross, WolfLikeRoss, if you will, and Miss Cathy Malejane sit down and have a conversation about intimacy, relationships, sex, and everything and everyone in between, right? Plus 267 3956 962 is our WhatsApp line. We do have some WhatsApps as well as some responses to our initial question. We're going to take a break and then look into those a little bit, as well as delve deeper into Khanye with Miss Atlholang, who is our wellness coach, right? Does physical maintenance and upkeep matter in a relationship for you?
Libido,
and libido, you know? Are you shy to bring it up if you think your partner's no longer trying? And would it make you uncomfortable to be on the receiving end of certain information? And what's your vantage point, Tyler, as somebody listening to this conversation who might be going through the same thing, or maybe has gone through the same thing? Maybe you have a little bit of wisdom that you can share. We are absolutely open to that, all right? We also do have one more street interview that Masa was kind enough to conduct, and we'll listen to that after this, all right? Here's Silk. What's that reference? It's not the size of the boat, but the motion of the ocean. Very interesting. I'd love to get your thoughts on that on an episode where the question is appropriate.
I actually wanted to suggest that to you. So perhaps at some point we will do that.
I think we should talk about that, right? At some point. Yeah, not with you, Agatha, because we don't want to hear what you have to say on that.
But wait, I actually want us to go back to something Agatha was saying, right? Because she was talking, we were talking about hormones, and I was just mentioning, like, even men as well go through a whole bunch of hormonal changes. I actually got a message earlier from Winnie saying men as well go through phases. They also have hormones. We gain when we don't take care of ourselves.
So there are changes our bodies go through that are out of our control, regardless of how well we say we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. What do you do in that instance? Because if a woman is going through menopause, she
what do you
is
do
going
if you are no longer attracted to your partner?
If a woman is going through menopause, she's going to lose her sex drive. She's going to have heat flashes, like sweating,
doesn't want you to touch her.
Exactly. And a man, I mean, he can have his fair share of that, the moodiness, the pandlani, okay? If that pandlani
your
comes,
hairline recedes, it recedes.
That's it. Like, what are you going to do?
Do I expect you to go and get a hair transplant just because I want to be attracted to you? Agatha, maybe that's where you come in then as a wellness coach and, somebody who coaches people in relationships as well. If a time comes inevitably when my partner's body is changing that affects me and how I relate with them sexually or in terms of physical attraction, what do I do for myself, to myself, because it's not their fault?
Yeah, the most important thing when it comes to these conversations, what we need to realize is that we need to not be ignorant. You need to educate yourself about what's happening to you. And where you're at and what's going on with your body. And this is why we have medical aid, so we can go and see our doctors. And get the right advice on what's happening to me. Does it mean that just because I am here and I'm putting on weight, is it an excuse for me to just balloon out of control? Or, yes, you probably will put on weight, but you're not going to put on that much weight. So it's also there should be a level of educating oneself and your health. You know what I'm saying? For example, as we get older, as women, because of the day-to-day activities, right? Also, men have got more testosterone than us, which means, we don't get horny as much. You know what I mean? And this is why we then say
their sex drive is definitely higher.
Exactly. That's why we say, ladies, go to the gym so that testosterone levels increase. A lot of men, I remember when I used to coach men, men would say, they would bring their wives to me and say, no, Agatha, you know what? I think my wife, we do what? She's making advances to the husband and he's like, what have you done to my wife? What's going on here? You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, and I was like, the body is reacting to the exercise, and this is what's happening. And it's very important for you to support your woman in this kind of transition and all of this. So Lorna, as women, it's not like we have doctors out there, we've got personal trainers, we've got nutritionists, we have a whole colossal amount of people who know how to transition us when we're going into these different stages.
Okay, my next question to you is going to be this, Agatha. What are the early, and I keep reiterating this, there's somebody listening to this conversation right now who is relating to the things we're talking about, and I want you to speak directly to them. Are there early signs, my partner's attraction to me is fading? Before they even open their mouths to say anything, before they have to psych themselves up to say, hey, Cathy ke reng, Agatha ke reng, about XYZ that I'm not really enjoying. What should Cathy and Agatha be able to see in their partner's body language, the way they relate with them? This person
I can't tell you what to look at because that's not realistic. But intuition is a very powerful thing. And when you're with a person in your relationship, you get to understand your person's mannerisms, their attitudes, their likes, their dislikes.
If you guys are intimate 4 times a week and
then all of a sudden, what is that telling you? It's telling you that it's time to have a conversation because you don't see the same response that you're used to. I get let's say, for example, as a mom, there's a way she's starting to behave, and you can see she's starting to do little things.
Just like you can see when someone's cheating on you, you can see.
We've got that sixth sense. It's in you, and that's the beauty of being a human. That we are designed with all these things, these mechanisms in us to be able to see. Or you're not developing these things inside of you. So it's very easy to see. You might not pinpoint and say this is what's happening. The energy.
So you've gotten to that point where there's a shift, there's a change. I think it's very important for us to touch base on how do we tell this person without body shaming them, without making them, feel too much pressure. We said earlier that you've got so many, the hormonal changes, men out there trying to provide, then there are kids as well in the dynamics, maybe a sick mom or two, or, the in-law tensions, the busyness of life, school,
Men must also acknowledge that they're leaders. Part of leadership is saying to your person is, babe, how about a run? Then
she tells you she's in menopause and she's got no energy, she's tired, she's hot.
What would you like to do?
She's a hot flash.
That's another thing. Engage your person in the conversation. What would you like
Don't
to
try to make decisions for them.
What would work for you? I don't know. Maybe I just want to go for Pilates. Okay, let's go try that.
I just want to get some rest.
Oh, let's do that now. And then next time, but we rested last time. Now it's my turn. Be a nice person. Then we go. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's a level of just being in touch and not trying to force yourself onto another person. Your person and they really care for you. There's just a way that you do it. And it depends on how much you've cultivated a safe environment for yourselves. Because it's a two-way thing. It's not a woman's responsibility.
Plural, re. Right? Masa did, have some conversations with some other lovely people on the street. Let's cross over to one of those chats, all right?
So the first question is there a way to tell your partner that their physical upkeep, whether it's weight, general appearance, dressing up, isn't what it used to be without offending them?
Is there a way though? I feel like there's a way because approach matters, hey? Like, you just have to tell them in a manner that they don't have to feel insecure about how they change their clothes or anything like that, because as females we get so comfortable with being in a relationship. And sometimes crop top so I feel like it's just about a mental approach, and that's it.
Okay.
So
would you be okay with your partner telling you the same thing?
Yes, I'll be very okay, because transparency is actually needed in a relationship. So I mean, why not? No, No. Come to me because you're with me and this, so why should you bother telling your friends? Hello. Yes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, do you think that attraction fades when your partner's body changes, or do you think that love makes up for it?
It actually fades, I don't wanna lie. I can't go on a little 6-pack, jiggy mukaba. And you're like, hey.
Okay.
It really does, honestly, I don't wanna lie.
Okay.
Because I feel like even when we started being in a relationship, it was the physical attraction that actually brought us together.
Okay.
So obviously her quite a personality brought me to, how did you know her?
Yeah.
Because you first saw you like, damn, her body.
Yeah.
But okay, I see you fine thing. So it does.
Okay.
It fades.
It's interesting. So do you think it fades or it changes?
It changes. No, it changes. Somehow, but similar to distant thing, and maybe like you don't look the way you used to look before, or so.
Okay. And then the last one is, would you say that you take care of yourself for you, or do you take care of yourself for your partner or significant other?
I take care of myself for me because I am the prize and I know I'm the girl who I am. So I don't need to be pleasing other people when I'm doing this life thing alone. So why should I be like, hey, my partner doesn't like me? So what? Because even when he approached you, he knew that you look like that. So vele, I can't be saying, no, I need to change because of this person. I can't have shame. Not even.
I honahali shame, as the kids say, clock it. All right. Listen,
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
I was
clock
at
it.
UB today talking to some students, and they were
Like,
doing
clock
this.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Agatha, take my hand, come with me into the 21st
I
century.
need to do that.
Yeah, I will hold your hand through
I was
this.
just like, what is that gesture?
Yeah, 100%. So you know what? Here and here's an interesting thing. I don't know if you ladies picked up. In the first interview, Masa had, she was talking to somebody who seemed like they might be a certain kind of age, and in the second one, she spoke to.
They seemed a bit younger.
They seemed a bit younger, right? Do you think that there's a difference in the way? And I'll ask you this, Agatha, in the way maybe you and Cathy's generation treat relationships and attraction within relationships. My generation treats, the same thing, and then Gen Zs as well.
I think there's some truth to that, okay? But also, it's a little skewed and marred and all of that.
Because these young ones, they are very self-assured, and they're very, if this is not working for me, it's curtains. And I take care of myself for me, and if a person isn't keeping themselves up, then I'm out.
But they're going to learn very painfully when they get to 40 and they're alone and there's nobody next to them. That's when they get to realize. So I think what it needs to be is make sure that it's coming from a place of authenticity. Whatever it is that you're doing, okay, this is who I am. I've really done the work. Make sure you have done the work, and the work is leading you to that point during these are my non-negotiables. Yeah. So that even when you hit 40 and there's no one there, it's not like, oh my God, I'm alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's that thing. And then you'll find that the older ones, because they were living like that, now they're more open to and
I can still be I think even it's funny that we're having this conversation, but I think as your body evolves and our bodies evolve, doesn't our what we are attracted to evolve as well? Doesn't that happen? Like
remember, in the first half of your life, it's more ego. That's what that's why right now at 44, I can honestly tell you, I'm not chasing money. That's why. That's why laha monata ko go nna ba ntshupentsa khiya benzi. I'm more on consciousness. I'm more on self-awareness. I'm more on him recognizing that I sat down crossa maoto.
And you have a plan. That same idea, Abens, are you a good steward of your finances?
Of your finances and you. You understand? Yeah. I'm at a stage in my life where a man is looking at me and he's like, you are so sure of what you want and who you are, and I like that. Woman, not a man who's trying to tell me how to be, because I have done the work and I continue to do the work. So I think at different stages of your life, we're chasing different things. Like I said, in the beginning, it's ego. It's, I want this. I want the weave. I want to be seen in satin. What.
Yeah.
As you get older, and I think this is the problem with a lot of people, where the men who are genuinely evolving and self-actualizing, women who are not don't understand them. And the women who are genuinely self-actualizing and evolving, the men don't get it.
Yeah.
Kore mo Botswana re ipoleletse gore ra go nna ma 14 forever. Ga ba tlhaloganya gore go na le batho ba ileng gore no ba le tlogetse ho mo dirabishing tseo nnang ho lona. Bone they've elevated. And don't assume that every woman is like that or every man is like that.
Yeah.
We're not there. So lebella motho o bo bona gore okay, Ross, like I always tell you, you have no right to tell me how to be. The only thing you have control of is to watch me and see if you are willing to stick
To
around
fit into all of that.
this rubbish.
Yeah.
You understand? That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so which means you must know yourself and your capacity, what you can handle and what you can't.
I almost want us to have an entire show where we dedicate it to that part of, one, know yourself, and then two, how to, in fact, that one needs to also be a whole conversation
We've
to
got
say
12 months, Cathy.
how to vet someone
Yes.
and just figure out the conversation.
Choosing your mate.
Right.
Choosing your
exactly,
mate.
because
It's the biggest decision you're ever going to make.
because
It really is,
not only is it, even because what we see happen a lot of the time in Botswana is there are all these casual, and we're getting to the festive season. I think I am so slow with some of these things. I was educated last year about festive flings.
Yes.
And this whole time I didn't know that was an actual thing.
Yeah.
Where you will have a boyfriend/girlfriend.
Just a December lover.
Wow. They live in rhymes.
And you know what?
And for me, that's so freaky. Like, okay, so you met at a party and then that's now your lover, and
You're doing relationship
You're doing
things, but
relationship
just for
A.
December.
And
yeah.
also now when you start getting physical with someone, you haven't done all the work we're talking about. And matter of fact, they don't even care because it's like, oh, it's just a
and
casual
you guys
thing.
ghost each other in Jan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I see the fact that we do things like that, I
Yeah.
think means we need to really look at what are we actually doing. If you are somebody that has December lovers, right?
Yeah. So
And I
maybe
think
it'll be a
also-
conversation of just in general about casual sexual relationships and what they mean.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about this. Gape kore Batswana are very ignorant when it comes to spirituality. You cannot be sleeping with just anyone and
Sela
everyone.
mewa ya batho
It
and-
affects you sexually, you know. And also, we're in an era ya HIV.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
our figures are going up as a nation.
They are slowly
Yeah.
Kana
climbing
this speaks
rapidly,
to
actually.
and monna o ntseng yalo kana mosadi o ntseng yalo speaks to the fact that if they don't love themselves enough to know that they need to be in a relationship that's clean, that's healthy, how are they going to protect you, Cathy?
Where they know the comings and goings of the
Yeah.
other person.
you know.
So that is something that I think is so important for us to look at as well. But just coming back to this one to say, we need to have all these things in place, and then by the time the whatever issues, challenges, changes get to happen,
Yes.
you know how to talk to your
talk to a
person,
person,
right?
yeah.
You've already figured out the nice way to say the not so easy things. But how do we support each other now when it comes down to actually doing it? What are some of the things we need to be thinking about?
And I think the biggest thing ke gone gore can Batswana understand that they are in relationship.
We relate with one
We
another.
are relating with one another. We're not fighting.
Yeah.
We are not
competing.
against or competing. There's too much fighting.
Yeah.
Batho ba
Tension
angry wa
is-
itse ga ke itse gore ke eng go le bogale yana ba angry gore wena ba nna ba le angry
They're
mo di-
aggressive.
They're very aggressive. Batswana are not very gentle and kind people. You know, it's interesting how people will come and say, oh, Batswana are this. I'm like, na re tshela le bone ga ba nna yalo lona le ba bona ha kae gore
You
ba
see the
sweet.
shadow and the facade, this, smoke
You know
and
what I mean?
mirrors.
People coming from outside of the country
Yeah.
will tell us. Foreigners will tell us, Batswana are very peaceful. What? No, ba peaceful mo go lona. Rona amongst ourselves, ha gona sepe seo. Go bogale, like what? Divorce apesiwa go apetswana go sorry king
Ba betella,
go
ba
betellwa
bolaya.
go abola. No, that's our reality.
Yeah.
Ring, they are such humble and peaceful people.
Trying to fake it till you make it.
Yeah, guys, this is where I need to stop speaking Setswana, you know.
And disassociate.
Yeah, because I will get
yourself
better
from us.
treatment, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm just, don't speak Setswana to me and don't expect me to be able to say names. Okay? Don't do it. But
So what's our last word, ladies, and especially from your vantage point, Agatha, as a wellness coach, looking at relationships right now, your last word to somebody listening right now who, like we started this conversation of saying, is maybe in this situation, wants to have a conversation with their partner, wants to change themselves as well as guide or take their partner along on that journey of self-actualization and self-care, taking care of themselves really holistically, mind, body, and soul, for themselves before it's for their partner.
I like what Cathy said, Ari. Initially the conversation was, how do you talk to your partner, and do these things affect you guys? How your body changes and your emotions. And we've really unpacked it to a point where we realized the issue here is not changing. The issue here is not that your body has changed. The issue is harikitsi.
Yeah.
And when we don't know who we are, it becomes very difficult for us to create environments in our relationships that are healthy enough for us to have the necessary conversations. I think that's what we've established from this conversation. The issue is not that I've gained weight. The issue is not that kinali mukhabanyana kana yang, or I am an emotional basket case right now. The issue is we don't know who we are, and as a result, we don't know how to relate with one another. And therefore, it makes it very difficult once the body changes, once the emotions come up, once the menopause comes, you don't know how to deal with it. So it's let's get to the root of it. The reason why I can't have a conversation with my partner, tell them how I really feel about how they look and their upkeep, is because both of us have not been able to create a healthy environment in this relationship.
So what happens when you make that realization? Because that certainly
You
doesn't
come to
sound like
Agatha.
fun.
Go see someone. Don't be afraid of third-party intervention. Half the time, you are looking at things with blinkers on. You can't see left. You can't see right. You're only here, and your here is...
You're saying that, and I feel like someone listening who is a woman will say, okay, maybe. But the men, a lot of our men are going to be like, nah, women, you want to talk too much. I'm going to tell that guy at the bar. He'll come up with a solution for me. They do that, right?
But here's the thing. I like that men love to do that. But you see, the reality is, Cathy, lona kana ga le coach ba thakere na ba ta ba setse ba le batona ba uta gore o itse gore bogana na jolo jwa mejole jone ke sa retse na go ile le mosadi ha ba mperekela. So you know what happens, and I've had this conversation with Ross. I find myself coaching people through regret. So just know that even if you say nya wena mosadi wa makere wena ko eno batang go balabala tsa mo go bua le counselor wena you will regret. Because now that's how I make my money. You
thrive in the chaos.
I thrive in the chaos. So
guys, quickly before we wrap up, because we are fast running out of time and we do need to wrap up. What is coming up as a trend, a fast evolving trend, is banna bailing hore, and women are involved as well. I won't absolve them. Baba dumelang hore go tshwantse go nna le mothusa mosadi mo relationshiping. So if you're mutusa lelapa and that kind of thing. So if my wife is just not up to par, I married Cathy Antejana, and over the years she's done XYZ, she's let herself go, she's just not the same. I want to stay married to her, she's my wife, but I'm gonna get Agatha on the side oiling hore fits those standards of what I feel like I'm attracted to, without having to go through the admin of working through this with my wife. What
so
do
you
we say
don't
to
care,
those people?
So you don't care how, if your wife finds out about this,
But they will
you
when,
don't
not
care.
if, because the
When,
truth always comes out,
Yeah.
right? So it's when. Let's put it out there.
And you don't even care about your money because the court is going to favor the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're an infidel, yeah.
If there's anything that you should be thinking about is your money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the question is, those two, happy, it shows your leadership skills.
Yeah.
Gore wena hena as a leader, ga o kgone go baya your house in order by having the uncomfortable conversations.
It's a reflection of you.
It's a reflection
that
of you.
this is failing, yeah.
It's one thing to tell your wife that you're uncomfortable about something. It's another to keep quiet. Those are two different things, Kan.
Sorry, it's not funny.
We blame
Creepy
Agatha
crawly.
for Nana belling her.
Nana belling out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and 100%.
Hey,
yeah.
because these are two different things. Kana affairs ke go bolelle hela. Yes, there's an element ya gore motho a teng ga ikitse, but there's more of an element ya gore people don't want to confront.
Yeah.
So there's a level of bogatapanyana mo
Yes.
Well, I've heard people say this, and the actual line is, I want to keep the peace. I want to keep the peace at home, so I do whatever needs to be done at home. I go get my pleasure out
the peace
there.
in avoidance of conflict. So what Agatha is saying is true. It's cowardice.
No, but there's no peace. You know why? Anytime you lie to yourself, you are chipping away at you. So every time you're here in Gabs FM and your boss is doing something, then you fail to go to him or her and say to them, sir or ma'am, I'm uncomfortable with this. It is affecting you. That's why now, affair number 1, affair number 2, number 3, it's not going to your wife or your husband. The affair is doing something to you.
Yeah, I wonder if people actually stop to think about that.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, every time people say Bone, they're the bigger person, they want to keep the peace. I'm like, what are you talking? Did you just regurgitate that? Do you even know the implications?
What are you talking about?
Of thinking
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's chipping away at you. It's chipping away at your confidence.
Yeah.
You would have had an opportunity to raise your confidence level and your speech and your articulation by going to your boss. But once hela.
In fact, you could have come to a resolution. Who knows?
Ebile, as you come here, wa go simolla o seba. Look at what it's doing to you.
Yeah, you turn into a gossiper.
Into a gossiper.
Ladies, it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to sit down with you and have this conversation. As always, I hope this landed on the right ears, because we're not here to yap, the three of us. We could have done that outside of the studio, but we've had this conversation in hopes that it reaches the right ears, touches the right person, and has shed some light on a path that might have seemed dark before. We started here at 10 p.m. and now is a little bit better. So here we are. We're back to mopping the ocean, Agatha. This is a saying, Agatha. No. It's a job that never finishes. Agatha and I have a saying, the work that we do here is the equivalent of us trying to mop the ocean. It'll never finish, and it's a pipe dream, but we can try. It's our ticket into heaven, so that when we get to heaven, we say, "No, you saw. I tried.
This should make up for it.
I tried my best." So I appreciate you, Agatha, for coming through
Thank
for
you for
us.
inviting me, guys. And best of luck with your show.
And being our first guest. We really appreciate you setting the example and the tone of the show. So onwards and upwards. Thank you, Cathy. What have we done here, and what's your takeaway?
You know, Ross, I actually want us to now actually take a step back in our next conversation to say, what do we need to think about before we get to the point where we're in relationship? Because just the conversations of what happens when the body changes, when the person's relationship with self changes with regards to our relationship, all of that has made us realize, but there are certain steps, there are ways you can set the foundation and lay it so that by the time you get to whatever challenge, because life is going to throw you challenges. There's nobody who just goes through life in a vacuum and life is all sunshine and rainbows. It's about how do you see it, how do you perceive it. So I think that's what we need to take away from this, to say, let's maybe rethink how we're getting into these relationships, because where we are, we understand it is important for us to have the conversation, and the only way you do it successfully is by doing so with that knowledge, that foundation already having been laid.
Damn, so we're not going to talk about sex? I was just hoping we were going to get straight into it.
There's so many things that we need to talk about.
We're over-sexualized in this country anyway.
Blah, 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 sex. Okay. Let's balance it out, okay? The Purple Playroom, ladies and gents, every Tuesday between 12, or rather 10 p.m. and 12 midnight with myself. I go by the name WolfLikeRoss and Miss Cathy Malejane. If you're looking for me, WolfLikeRoss across all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, as well as TikTok.
And if you are looking for the village chick with plenty chic, just type Cathy Malejane again across all social media platforms except Facebook. It's a public figure page. It's not a profile. So yeah, follow me. I will follow you back.
And Agatha?
Ikaga Motswana on Facebook, Ikaga Motswana on TikTok, Ikaga Motswana the pod on TikTok, on YouTube, Ikaga Motswana the podcast as well, and we're also on Instagram. We're everywhere.
Yeah. In the words of a very wise man, put on your red dress and step in your high heel. And some of that sweet perfume.
Johnny Gill.
You understand?
Very wise.